Happy New Year, everybody. Sorry we have been kind of MIA for the past week or so. December was kind of a wonky month for me personally. Just had stuff come up and, we had to reschedule things. We are at our new time because it's a new year. So moving forward, we'll be at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This month could be a little wonky too. We might be doing a couple Sunday shows or maybe a Friday or Thursday night show. We'll let you know, of course, as those come to us. But hopefully from there on out, things will be as normal. But hey, what kind of New Year, Greg, would it be if we just didn't have a little chaos at the beginning, especially after the nice Twitter battle, well, not battle, but tweets put out by Tony Khan and Big Swole last night. I don't know if you saw it. I'm sure we'll bring it up at some point. But I don't want to get negative first because it is a new year, Greg. So how in the heck was your New Year's Eve?
Hey, Happy New Year. And since it's day one, I have to rock the down since day one-ish shirts.
That is half the stuff that came up when I typed in day one. It was like, I'm like, okay, I need the day one logo, not day one-ish H. So did you celebrate the New Year's Eve, Greg?
I had to get that started. I celebrated at work. Okay. I was busy at the airport, and it's the best place in the world that people watch anyway. So I did that for most of the day, but they still let us go about a couple hours early. So
okay, awesome.
That was good. And you got to go home and watch the ball drop as it was, in the comfort of my own home after getting to watch Rampage and kick back and relax a little bit.
I'll be honest, I didn't watch any wrestling last night. I know SmackDown did the best of, so I was like, I literally laid in my bed probably from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed. I think I got out of bed a few times, and then I just watched the clock till 11 or till midnight. But and then after midnight, Greg, we play the fun game where we say, is that gunshots or is that fireworks? So that's always a fun game,
right.
Isn't it?
Yep, that went on in my neighborhood too. So
it's really bad when the Indianapolis Star, which is our main newspaper here, has to have an article that says, remember, firing gunshots in the air means the bullets will come back down to earth. Yeah. So that's always fun. But anyways, I heard a lot of fireworks. So I will say that. I think people did it felt like a lot more fireworks than 4th of July. So that was fun. But, Greg, we have a special show because it is a new year. It's a new day. Yes, it is. We're going to do an awards show. We got some Stevie Awards to give out. So let's bring up this lovely thingamajig that I made yesterday. There it is. Look at that. Stevie Awards.
Hey,
now, Greg, our first category, we know that a makeover, it's new year, new me. Even though usually for me it's new year, same old shit. But anyways. We have some nominees, Greg, that we believe should have a makeover time. That's right. 3 superstars in need of a makeover. This was your brainchild, so I would love for you to go first. How about your 3 WWE stars that you think are in need of a makeover?
All right. I have from WWE, number 1, I want Dewdrop to have a makeover. They've already got it started a little bit. They got rid of the frilly get up and put a nice little like denim leather jacket on her. Changed up the music. Now they need to change up the name and make the name fit the attitude, because right now her name doesn't fit her attitude. So I'm still needing a name change to buy in all the way for her. So she's number one. Number two, Finn. I definitely need Finn to have another resurgence the way he did in NXT when he went down, and just the way that they've done him. And I've ranted about it enough. I'm not going to do it again. I'm
Well,
sure
what's
we
funny is,
have some repeat
Greg,
listeners.
Finn is on my list. So there we go. We agree. We actually had one of the same. So Finn was on my
Hey,
list of makeover. So I don't need to mention him. And who was
there
your
you go.
third
And then
superstar?
my third, it was tough, but I am going to go with my hot Asian girlfriend, Asuka.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And reason for that is that she's been off TV for probably the last half of the year. I know she's had an arm injury. I've seen a couple pictures with her arm in a sling,
Yep.
so maybe it's arm, shoulder, something like that. But I'm sure that time away is going to do her good. She's going to come back better than ever. But when she comes back, I don't want the same yelling, screaming in Japanese, dancing around Asuka. I want
Okay.
NXT Asuka. I want Asuka's going to kill you. I want the swagger back. I want um, the look of death and the strong Asuka, not the dancing clown Asuka. So, however they tweak it, they need to tweak it because Asuka, I will still tell you, is the best female on the WWE roster. And I will put her up against anybody when she's given that time and that leeway to do her thing the way she did in NXT and have that quality of match. So I've still put her as my number one female, and I put up her against anybody. And we've seen what she can do when she has that leeway. So I want a reboot of her, and she needs to come back bigger and better than ever, and she will be the top female on the roster again.
And at this rate, she might as well just hold her off to the Rumble, right? I mean, I know it's at the end of the month, but I think bringing her back in kind of that, surprise type factor, like, oh, she did come back, just kind of gives that big pop and let her kick some heads in. Now I don't know if she
Right.
wins it because she won it in 2018, yeah, because the same year Finn won or
Yep.
Shinsuke won it. So yeah, those are three solid choices. Like we said, I agree with Finn. Greg, I'm going with Ricochet. I would love to see him paired up with the Hurt Business and
Mhm.
with MVP. I think that would give him some edge that he's been missing. And I mean, his
Yep.
promos, like, just like, I don't know if it's the Kentucky in him or whatnot, but his promos have, leave a lot to be desired. And my other name, Greg, is Cesaro. I know I was all aboard
Okay.
the Cesaro train. I don't know what makeover he needs other than maybe a direction. And I'm kind of afraid that he's not going to get one. So I put Ricochet, Cesaro, and Finn. But Dewdrop is definitely a good choice. And like you said, I think the denim, because that's what she wears anyway. It seems like a lot of her outside the ring pictures show her in denim. So maybe she's finding herself more comfortable in that. So those are my three superstars for WWE. So congratulations to those winners of the first Stevie
Hey.
Awards. Greg, I want to go to AEW, and my names are, so my first name is Scorpio Page. I started to say Scorpio Page, sorry. Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. And you already know what they need, Greg. They need Dan freaking Lambert to get out of the way, go far away, never come back again. That promo with Brandy, oh God! Like I had to turn down my volume because I was afraid I was going to have like ear damage from both of them. Like I bet those mic levels were just like that. Producer was probably like, I can't go any lower. Like, come on, give me some leeway. So, and Greg, Brandy Rhodes is on my list of makeover. Her makeover is to go off TV and please don't come back. I
I
mean,
knew you were
she's
going to
pretty
say
much
that.
venturing into Stephanie McMahon territory where it's like, okay, we get it. Like, and even in that promo from Wednesday night, like, shouldn't it have been Cody coming to the defense? Because, I mean, he,
Yes.
You had, Dustin come out, and then you had,
Mm.
you had Brandy come out first, which is fine because her name did get smeared, so I get it. And you show her, she could speak up for herself. But the fact that, and then we had Cody and Ethan Page last night, so it would have made sense, but whatever. So Brandy Rhodes, sorry, whatever. I'll be a hater, but she is on my list. And Andrade, I put Andrade, Greg, because I felt like he just keeps showing up in these weird, I thought we were going to do something with Pac and him and the Lucha Bros, and maybe they were going to turn with him. And now I guess he showed up at the Darby Allin match. So, now where's that going? But hey, he's back with Charlotte. So I guess, they had to take some break because it's quite telling that there was no pictures there for a few months or a couple months of them together. Now, all of a sudden, Greg, they are, posting every single picture together. But good for them to find that Weenlay. But off again, on again relationships, Greg, in my mind, never end up well. So, if they take another break, But anyways, so I went with, Scorpio, Ethan Page, Brandy Rhodes, and Andrade as my winners of Makeover Time because I think they all need some sort of makeover in AEW. Who are your superstars, Greg, for AEW?
Great choices, definitely. And I totally agree with you on that Brandy and Dan Lambert segment, even though I think that got the most mentions, the most social media buzz. It was a cringeworthy segment, but it had some interesting parts in it. Some of the slams were pretty good.
That's the thing. The hits kind of made it work a little bit, but then I don't know. It just, it seemed like she was, when Brandy does that whole, I don't know. It's a weird way that she presents herself at times, I think. But
yeah. So my first winner is going to go to Brandy's husband. It's going to Cody, and it's the writing's on the wall. Just go heel already. And I don't know about you, but I'm still following the breadcrumbs because I'm thinking I'm seeing them. There's a moment when he came out to confront Sammy and tell him that he was going to have to defend the title against him. Sammy accepts. Cody crosses the stage in front of Sammy as if he's going to go into the heel locker room.
Yeah.
He takes a step towards it, and then he goes back to
the face,
the other tunnel. Right.
Yeah.
So that was one thing, and I saw that, and then last night he comes out to defend his title, defend the title. He's trimmed back the entrance a little bit, and he's wearing all black.
Okay.
So coincidence?
That's telling. Yeah.
Maybe. So I think that he's dropping little breadcrumbs, and then at some point this year it's going to happen.
And then the new T-shirt says
yes,
heel face winner, and I'm like, okay.
Right.
So that's got to be telling.
Right. And I
kind of like Roman's needle mover, that type of shirt. So
right. And now he's getting the John Cena treatment. Let's go Cena. Cena sucks. And I like it better when they're booing. Everybody's booing him out of the building.
Yeah.
So, but Cody needs that makeover. Change the look, change the entrance, and just go heel already. And lean into it and make use of it. So that's number one. Number two, Dark Order. And I've brought this up many times. There's nothing dark about Dark Order. They're the opposite of dark. And they should be the Light Order. And they need to just either disband, rename, or have another Brody Lee-ish presence come and turn them dark. So at this point, I don't see them, now that we've seen so much of the Dark Order, that it wouldn't make sense to even have, this supreme leader roll, drop in, and turn them all heels.
Yeah.
So Dark Order needs to get that change. So he's their number 2, and 3 is Dante Martin.
Mm.
And reason is that this guy can be the 5th pillar. The guy is sensational. His matches are jaw dropping, and that match against Kenny that he had before people came back was off the charts. And see, he can hang with Kenny Omega. The sky's the limit for this kid, but he barely looks at the camera. We still don't know what the sound of his voice is, because when he was with his brother in Top Flight, his brother did the talking. When he was with Matt Seidel did the talking.
Mm-hmm.
When he was with Leo Rush did the talking. When he was with Team Taz, guess what? Taz did the talking.
Yep.
So he's never spoken for himself. And that's all the opportunity in the world for him to finally look into the camera, get on the stick, and show us he has some personality, show us he has some charisma, show us that his words can back his game in the ring. Because we're down with his game in the ring, but he hasn't shown us any layers. He hasn't shown us he can be good on the mic as a heel or a babyface. It doesn't matter. But get on the stick and say something.
Yeah.
He needs to add those personality wrinkles to make us buy into him. So next time he has a championship match against whomever, that we are emotionally invested in it, because being one of the best high flyers in the game is all well and good, but if you can't give us something else to latch on to emotionally, then you're losing it. So I want to see the kid do great, and he has all the potential in the world, but he needs to add those wrinkles. He needs to add those layers. So I want to see him get that makeover.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And maybe he doesn't have one, and that's why he doesn't look in the camera or speak. That would be a problem.
And
I'm hoping that's not it.
Throwing age, but 21, 20, 22, like, do we really, do you start finding yourself later too? So, it could be just him not knowing what he wants to be. So, as far as that's concerned, but those are, that's definitely, insert him with some charisma, like on the mic would be a good makeover for him. So definitely solid choices. So that is our first set of awards. Our next award, Don't Let Me Down award. So this, of course, Greg, is a hearken to my my lot of Beatles watching and the song "Don't Let Me Down" off "Let It Be." So we're talking about tag team wrestling. I think WWE showed glimpses that they can really support tag team wrestling. It feels like they always have those little brief moments. We had the little arcade broadament that tag teams were showing up. We had we have New Day and Usos going back tonight at it. So, and then of course AEW. I mean, every big match feels like a tag team type match. Now, granted, I feel like they use tag team matches as too much, especially something from Dynamite was like 10-man tag, 3-man tag, 2-man tag, another 2-man tag. I'm like, I think there was like one or two singles matches in that 2 hours. So you could also overdo it, but so Greg, I'll go first. Let's start with AEW. My runners up were Lucha Bros and Young Bucks. I felt like they're right there. I know the Young Bucks have probably been overexposed, but I mean, every big match, I felt like their name was in it. Like the street fights, just putting themselves out there with Adam Cole and street fights, all these just different matches that they did. And Lucha Bros, I mean, I thought they finally kind of found their way. You had brought them up, Greg, that, they were kind of directionless. We kept waiting for them, and I think they finally found it. So therefore, my winners, of course, is FTR. I just felt like all three of these teams almost had interminglings with each other. So that's why you could almost throw it to any of them. But I thought FTR really helped, really stepped it up. We saw them show up, a year or so ago in the pickup truck. I thought they still rushed the Young Bucks match, but that's, whatever. That's a criticism. But, they felt like it. And then to think that Cash gets the piece of metal in his arm, doesn't know if he's even going to come back at all. and then still was able to put out, they finished a match with his arm bleeding, profusely with the piece of metal stuck in there, and hitting nerve endings. I mean, that's not being able to feel your hand has got to be something. So, holding that together, then coming back and almost like nothing was gone. So, FTR, Greg, are my Stevie Award winners for the Don't Let Me Down Award in this Tag Team of the Year. And like I said, I mean, Lucha Bros, Young Bucks, you can almost do 2A and 2B, or you could even do 1A, B, and C with all three of these teams. So, Greg, who are you running with your award-winning Tag Team of the Year?
Yep, great choice. But I gotta take my guys. Been talking about them all week, all year. My Lucha brothers, they have been involved in the best matches of the year. Against Young Bucks, against FTR, against all the top tag teams. We're about to see them go up against the Jurassic Express in what I'm sure is going to be another classic. But these guys are phenomenal. Ray Phoenix, I've said many times, the greatest luchador on the planet. Every time I watch a Lucha Brothers match, he shows me something new, something fresh, a move combination that I haven't seen anybody else do before. And those two together, they're the perfect combination. High fly, ground and pound, whatever style you want to give them, they'll kill it.
They can do it.
And that match against the Young Bucks in the cage, with the titles on the line, I challenge you to find the better tag team match all year. So it's Lucha Brothers for me all the way.
Yep. And then WWE wise, I went with Street Profits as my runners up. I felt like the Street Profits just, they have a lot of fun. They can put on good matches when they need to. But Greg, of course, I'm going with RK Bro. I just think this team should have never been something. And I mean, the crowd's loving them. I think Orton's actually having fun with it. We don't see it, but I think he's kind of, really taking Matt Riddle under his own wing, like personally. And of course, Riddle, Riddle's Riddle. We'll still never forget when he's like, "Oh, I forgot my line," but that's okay. Like that one, that might be my OMG like head scratcher as I'm scratching my head now. But yeah, RK Bro, yeah, and I guess it's kind of a cheap, because they're tag team champions, but I mean, they should have never been this, and it worked. Like, we kept saying, "Oh, Orton's going to turn on him this week. Orton's going to turn on him this week." Then we're thinking, okay, maybe Riddle's going to turn on him, and they just keep rolling. And I mean, they, stealing each other's moves is awesome. I mean, the backstage, the commentary time with the jackets was fun. So I'm going RK Bro. Like I said, I feel like it is a little cheap because they're champions, but at the same time, they should have never been something, and they were. So, I mean, now that I'm kind of talking outside of my mouth, but AJ and Omos probably should get runners up as well, because who would have thought they would mesh as well as they did? But AJ really carried that, and I think Omos, like we said, could be in for a breakout year, kind of coming this coming year, because it feels like they're really ready for him to, do his own thing, but. So Street Profits and AJ and Omos were my runners up, but RK Bro will take the hardware for me. How about you, Greg?
Well, going with the champions is not a bad idea because I'm doing the same thing, except I'm going with the blue champions, the Usos.
Yep.
The Usos always at the top of their game. I give them extra credit for main event Jay at the beginning of the head of the table gimmick, and having him and Roman that match in the cage, the back and forth before he got into the mix with Roman, fantastic match. How that whole match went down, Jimmy coming out, and the drama that they built up to was fantastic. So them getting involved with Roman, the match that took place, and then laying the foundation for the bloodline for the rest of the year. I give them huge props for that. They've had some great matches. They've been great as comic characters when they need to be, and the Goon Squad when they need to be. They just play their roles so great. Um, and of course, when they get mixed in with New Day, RK Bro, they've been in there against the best of the best and always throw down great matches. So it's Usos for me. Got to represent today.
And I almost probably take them for granted if like if you really consider it, because we just expect great matches out of them. It's like New Day, New Day now,
Yep.
And they've been intermingled together so long. I think, like I said, it's almost like, oh yeah, the Usos, like, oh look, they put on another good match. Like, I almost, for myself, almost probably take them for granted for a little bit. So, what's our next award? Come at me, bro. Rivalry of the year, because that's what sells. It's the heel versus face. Sometimes face versus face if it's done the right way. Sometimes heel versus heel if it's done the right way can work. It's very hard, but so we've had a lot of rivalries over the past year, Greg. But for me, I'm going to go WWE first. I don't really have any runners up. I just went straight to Edge and Seth Rollins. I just thought that one. I mean, the fact that they played back to whatever 2012 or 2013, I think really helped. And when you really consider Seth's career, I mean, he almost is like an Edge character. He was part of the Shield, where he was more of a tag team guy, and then to break out of that, I guess all three of those guys in the Shield were going to do big things, but we weren't sure who would do when and what, but. And then Edge coming back, and everybody kept saying, "Oh, the orange stuff. We don't need him doing that. We need him with the young guys." Well, he did with Seth, and that fact that they just made it work. I mean, the Hell in a Cell at Crown Jewel. I mean, that was ridiculously good. So, and then the what was the Madison Square Garden match with the two curb stomps. So yeah, Edge and Seth Rollins is my rivalry of the year for WWE. Greg, how about your WWE rivalry of the year?
My runner-up went to Drew versus Lashley. They really carried the MT Arena era, and it brought it into this year. And they had some bangers of matches, leading into Lashley taking the championship, doing the Almighty era thing. They get my runner-up because it was awesome watching those. But me and you agree on this one. Seth versus Edge, hands down, rivalry of the year. For those same reasons, those matches were awesome. The Madison Square Garden, getting the Edge carried out. The Crown Jewel match was off the chain. Edge's entrance for I think the third match with the Brood entrance, and
who
bring
would
it
have ever
in
thought we'd see that
to the today's. Oh man, that popped me hard right there. So and then everything that went in between, all the layers they put in between. Seth going to Edge's house, and the segments that went in, on the stick. Everything was just awesome, and it definitely kept your interest, even though they were doing these multiple matches. So, yeah, Seth versus Edge was easy.
And I'll let you have AW. What was your AW rivalry of the year?
AEW, I had to give it to MJF versus Jericho.
Okay.
Because when you look at it, it started with Stadium Stampede, and it carried on to Blood and Guts, and that carried over into the Labors of Jericho, and everything that set up. We ended up getting the Pinnacle being formed and having that rivalry go into mix in with the Inner Circle. That led to a bunch of matches, and just the intermingling of MJF and Jericho for however many months it was, 4 or 5 months, and it was always entertaining. So, mad props to MJF and Jericho for what they did. They were awesome on the stick with each other. Their chemistry in the ring was amazing. So they win it for me.
And the Labors of Jericho brought Nick Gage on TV. Like, who ever thought, because I didn't know anything about the guy. And
Absolutely.
he
I was
definitely
there.
showed out. He definitely showed out at the pizza cutter and all that. So,
No doubt.
for me, I went Hangman Adam Page, and Kenny Omega. I thought, this led to the rise of Hangman, winning at Full Gear. Everything coming, 2 years full circle. So, was it kind of hit or miss there? Probably, but I think in the end, it did what it needed to do. And, but your MJF and Chris Jericho is not a bad choice as well. So, yeah. And then, we could throw in FTR and Lucha Bros. I mean, just them going back and forth and having, their banger matches. So, but I went Hangman and Omega because, like I said, I think that led to what Hangman could be. So we'll do our match of the year, Greg, and then we'll take a quick commercial break and kind of get into some of the other fun ones that we got left. So next up, let me find my clicker. That was 5 stars. So, Greg, I'll let you go first. I'll even let you pick. Which one would you like to do, WWE or AW?
I will start with WWE.
Okay.
And this probably might be a little off the reservation for some of y'all, because I had for runners up Reigns versus Uso, which I mentioned earlier, and then the Edge versus Seth matches, and then Walter versus Dragunov, which was definitely 5 stars. It was a super banger. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. But for me, the winner, and I based this off of when I was watching it in the moment, and it exceeded my expectations in such a way that after it was done, all I could do is sit and marinate in it for a minute. Like, what did I just see? And that winner was Priest and Bad Bunny versus Miz and Morrison. That was what I expected to be my bathroom break match. And I sat there and I watched it. It started great. The entrances were great. Bad Bunny coming in on the big rig. So it made you stop and watch for a minute. I remember they've had some of those, Hollywood stars or music stars come in and attempt to do matches before, and it's always a hot mess. But this match delivered. It was awesome. And just his ability for, I don't know how long he trained for, but it doesn't matter. To be able to put on a match like that at WrestleMania for, you're the greenest of the green, but he looked like he'd been wrestling for years. And so I didn't even know who Bad Bunny was when he came onto the scene. So he gets all the respect in the world from me. That match dropped my jaw, easy for me to say. And the Destroyer on the outside to Morrison, and Booker T putting it over as the Bunny Destroyer. I still laugh when I hear that. But it was an amazing match. So again, if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it. But that match holds up still, and I did go back and watch it again just to make sure I was right on this one. But yeah, I'm taking that one.
And I'm going to go WrestleMania as well. I think I'm going to go Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks. I just feel like the context of everything, the historical aspect of it. I mean, 2, black women wrestlers, main event and rest. Now, you can argue, was it main event? Technically, it was main eventing because that was the last match of the night 1 of WrestleMania. So, and I know WWE is kind of bad about, that type of thing, like playing it up too much. But I mean, look, how many, we have Jackie, Jacqueline Moore as one of the big top women of color, and other, after that, Greg, it's been hard to tell, so the fact that, those 2 women, and I mean, they put a banger of a match. I mean, we still remember the
Absolutely.
The mark of Bianca's hair. Like, I mean, I still hear that in my sleep some nights, but I'm sure Sasha does too. So, I mean, it hurt her so much she had to go away for a few months. And I'm kind of thinking back, I think what was it? Xavier Woods and Lashley in the cage or in this Hell in a Cell, right? Or was it Steel Cage? I can't remember. Whichever one it was. That was, Xavier Woods coming out party type. That's another one.
It was,
and then he's Edge and Seth in the Cell, Edge and Seth at Madison Square Garden. I mean, so for all the downfall of WWE, when the matches happen, when there's big matches, I think they deliver. And and Walter and Dragunov. I mean, that was another story. Almost 2 years in the making, maybe even 3. But like Dragunov getting that moment, coming full circle. So, good stuff for him. How about AEW wise? What is your match of the year?
That I've already mentioned it once. The Lucha Brothers against the Young Bucks in the cage for the AEW tag team titles. Just a brilliant match from a psychology standpoint, from the shenanigans with the Elite, and then and I was saying we got the blood, sweat, and tears. They went into took the weapons and ripped the masks of the Lucha Brothers and were gouging the faces, and they're all bloody. And just the moves in that match were just jaw dropping. There were so many false finishes that could have been real finishes that you could barely breathe because it was so intense and it was so much action. But it followed the story. It told a great story. And then at the match, Lucha Brothers win. Their families are at ringside to celebrate them. They're bleeding. They get blood on the titles, and it's just the combination: blood, sweat, and tears. Literally, they're celebrating. Everybody comes out to, give them props. The crowd goes bananas, and hands down, but definitely the best tag team match, and probably my favorite match of the year.
And they didn't even care that they were overrunning, because I remember there was the big old, they were telling them, come on. So here's a little New Year's Eve. We got, you don't know me, but a big fan of BW Sports 1. Thank you, Big Ben 316. So there we go.
Hey.
If that is Ben Roethlisberger, if you want to break the news that you're going to retire, you could just do that for us.
Happy New Year, Big Ben.
Happy New Year, Big Ben 316. So thank you for that, Big Ben. If you ever want to come talk wrestling, get in touch with us. Let's take a quick commercial break, kind of catch our breath on all the awards we've handed out, get some elite stuff happening. DeJuan and DeLion know me well. Okay, awesome. All right, well, we will take a quick break, and hopefully, Ben, you stick around with us. We just got a little elite commercial for you, and then we'll get into OMG moments, good and bad. Actually, scratch that. I just made a change of plans. Let's do breakout stars, because, I actually had that in the next slide. So I should have paid attention to what my slides were. So, Greg, breakout stars. I want to go with WWE because there's two people I think that were broken out. So I have a female star and a male star. Obviously, my male star is Damian Priest. I thought the switch to the main roster really upped his game. I think he was ready for it. I think he was kind of holding back on NXT, maybe in a way. I don't know. Maybe it's just his presentation or everything, and then kind of changed up his character at the end of the year. And then, the fact that, like you said, he got the match with Bad Bunny. I mean, that's saying something, for them to trust him, The Miz, and John Morrison, which, The Miz and John Morrison are two guys that I think you'd put with anybody kind of in your first match to, make sure things go right. So that was my name. And then my female star was Bianca. It's all about Bianca Belair. I thought, everything she did this year just really stepped up her game. And I think the rest, this goes into kind of last night's Big Swole talk about representation. And, you see little girls dressing up like her, and I think that's really important. So that idea of her breaking out in that aspect, showing up at the SBs, showing up at award shows is huge. So, and Big Ben has a choice here, Greg. This is a really good name because I kind of left NXT to the side for me because I felt like they just refreshed. So I almost feel like next year with a whole year of this, we can maybe add some, but Braun Breaker. Yeah, Braun Breaker is the name that definitely needs some consideration for breakout star. Because who would have thought, the son of Rick Steiner with a new name, Greg, and, talking like him, though, and getting all that pub would really step up. And, looking at New Year's Evil, I keep saying, man, I'm all in. If they want to give him, the title, just do it. So, Big Ben, thank you for the Braun Breaker shout out. Definitely a good choice there. I hadn't thought about that at first, but, considering where he's been, I mean, he deserves a lot of attention. So, Greg, who made you break out, or who was a breakout star for you in WWE wise?
For me, the breakout star was Riddle. He was kind of just backstage doing the the stoner jokes until he got involved in the storylines with Lashley. He had some great matches with Lashley. The matches with AJ, and then get involved with Randy. He had a banger of a match with Randy where he got the surprise win, which is what started the whole RK Bro angle. And that really moved him out of the backstage goof off, stoner to being, a more serious, more, still clowny, goofy, but, a little more edge to him and put a little more substance on him. And it's been an evolution for him. And he's still going through it. And watching him go from, just the bad Bill and Ted impersonation to being a legit, person we want to see when we turn on Raw has been a huge change for him. So I think he's really broken out, and he's only going to get better. Like I said, he's had Lashley to work with, Randy. He had a banger of a match with Xavier Woods, where he first dropped an RKO, which that was a jaw-dropping moment for me because I did not expect that. And some great matches against AJ Styles. So he's set up to get even better, propel himself even higher in the company as long as they keep rolling with him, because he's got everything. He's got the look, he's got the personality, and people like him. They want to see more of him. So I think once him and Randy get into this feud, which I'm sure is a few more months away, maybe at WrestleMania, that he's even going to propel himself even higher. So Riddle's my breakout star.
Yep. How about your female breakout? Do you have a female one or not?
I'd go with you with Bianca, because she really pronounced herself, on the scene once. She got the opportunity to start with that match against Sasha. So, definitely Bianca.
And then AEW wise, I mean, it's all about Hangman for me. I'm probably too big of a Hangman fan, but I think he really stepped up his game. And we always make the idea like what's homegrown. I still think yes, he had his run in ROH, and that's kind of where the Hangman gimmick started. But I felt like this was his breakout time to really step up. And did I give my match? Did we give match of the year for AEW? Now that I think about it, because I meant to say Hangman and Daniel Bryan were my well, my match of the year, because I missed it, was Hangman.
Yep, you got mine, but you get yours.
Okay, Hangman and Daniel Bryan, which is why I put Hangman as my breakout star, because that really set him up to 60 minutes. I don't know if he's ever done a 60-minute match, so I thought that was really important. And then my female star is Ruby Riott. Ruby Soho. To go from,
like you say, job squad, not the right squad, the job squad, and show up in AEW right away and make a name for herself. I mean, that's huge, and it's only what 4 or 5 months that she's been part of it. So, yes, it's a short time frame, but at the same time, she's already established herself as one of those strong women. And we might see another strong woman step up to the plate if she, whatever is going on with her, Tony Storm wise, maybe make that leap to AEW. But Ruby Soho, Greg, is my breakout AEW female star. So who were your, if you had a female star, that's fine. Who were your breakout star for AEW wise?
My breakout star for AEW, on the men's side, I'm taking Malachi because he has been money from the moment he has showed up, and as evil as he want to be, and everybody's still digging it. So, it's one of those classic, we're riding with the bad guy. The vignettes, the things he's been doing as far as gouging the eyes out of, I forgot who it was. Was it Griff or Brian Pillman coming up with blood on his hands, the black mist in the eyes of Julia Hart. He gets to be evil and instead of just staring into the camera and saying cryptic words like he did in WWE. He's getting to play his character. He's getting to be himself. And I'm loving it. And everybody's loving it. The entrance is amazing. The thing with the antlers and the Undertaker-esque entrance, amazing. So I think he's the breakout star on the men's side. For the women's side, I'm taking Britt Baker. Go back to the match with Thunder Rosa, which, she was already on her way up, but that put her on the map. That match was, for a women's match, one of the best I've ever seen as far as how hard hitting was, how bloody it was. You don't see women bleed like that. Last night's Rampage match notwithstanding. And, it just brought another level of intensity to, the women's division, what Britt has been doing. And she's become one of the top stars in the company, male or female. So she's definitely broken out this year compared to 2020. So I'm definitely taking Britt.
And she was the first signee, of AEW. So she came in with some pressure anyway. So I think it all finally clicked for her this year. We kept saying double or nothing. If she doesn't win the title there when she had all the momentum, what are you even doing? So very good choices in Britt Baker. Let's go next. Oh my God. So Greg, we know WWE and AEW have made us say, oh my God, in a good way. And oh my God, they really did that in a bad way. Just because it's a new year, let's get the negative out of the way. And I, of course, want to go first because you know where I'm going for AEW, Greg. Dan freaking Lambert. Every time I hear the guy, it's just, But I also have another choice. I do have to say, Greg, the exploding death match. I mean, for all the pomp and circumstance of it.
Yes.
Now, was there moments of goodness? Yes. But the sparklers at the end, and then Tony Khan having to defend it. I mean, even Moxley, having to try to defend it, and Kenny Omega tried to defend it. I mean, it just, no. And, this Tony Khan decided, Greg, to just jump in this conversation last night. I got to give Tony Khan the oh my God moment for the tweet that he put in response to Big Swole. She had valid criticism. She's a wrestler. And I get he's an owner. He could speak out. But his line that said, I let her contract run out because her wrestling was bad. That's one of those things you don't say out loud. Like, if you get fired, they say that in private. They might say, oh, your work performance wasn't. Is there, what owner, Greg, of any company has come out to,
would come out to the public and be like, Greg, you're not good enough. Sorry. Like going, like I said, Twitter, and then he adds in, well, watch Rampage tonight. And I'm like, wait a minute. Just, ease the brakes back. And because, I know this is kind of going off the rails because that's what we do. But Big Swole, who is Cedric Alexander's wife, she had some valid criticism.
Mm-hmm.
Diversity-wise, are there moments? Yes. But then you look at champions, and especially the men's side, it's been all men, or all white guys, let's face it. Even WWE finally, has, come along the way, and even that took some. So it's going to take time. And then, her bringing up the women's time, which is something that WWE has, had to fought through. And I know Tony Khan is this type that, Greg, that he wants to be out there public and, all that and transparent. But at the same time, sometimes you have to, not say things you want to say out loud and calling out some. And I guess the biggest thing is people had screenshotted where he said, she's a great wrestler with a great personality who I really want to build around, who I really want to give a chance or build around. And then to come full circle and be like, no, her wrestling's not that great. That's, so Tony Khan, unfortunately, a late entrant, Greg, into our, oh my God, bad moments, but he made it in there. So I did say Dan Lambert, though, would probably take the cake and that exploding death match. So those are my AEW. I don't really have it in any order, but those are my bad moments of AEW, Greg. So what were your bad OMG moments of AEW wise?
I was thinking of including the exploding barbed wire match that you're referring to for the same reasons, but I couldn't remember if it was this past year or the December before, so I left it out. I did put in the blood and guts match for the ending with Chris Jericho being thrown off the cage through obviously a crash pad
and hearing
and
flop.
Them selling it that right. It sounded like a bunch of cardboard folding. If you jumped into a bunch of cardboard boxes, that is the sound it would have made.
Yeah.
And nobody wants Chris Jericho to die, but if you're going to try to pull off that stunt and sell it as being, oh my God, is he going to get up? He's broken in half. To quote JR, you got to do a better job than that. That was the huge thumbs down for me. Even though the match was really good and building up to that moment, it was still good. So that ending, kind of killed the whole match for me. But I think the winner for this year had to be the death of Brody. Nobody saw that coming, and it really hit hard, in WWE and AEW, the wrestling world in general, when that happened. So those were the two bad OMG moments for me.
And then WWE wise, on my list, Greg, I just wrote Goldberg. That's all I need to say there. And I'll go with the releases. I think it's at 100 something. And companies, police, people cut people all the time. But like we said, it felt like every other week we were talking. And we even broke the news right here that Bray Wyatt had got, released, which at the time I was like, oh, that's cool because it's breaking news. But at the same time, we were like, it kind of derailed us for the rest of the show, I think, where, you want to talk about that, but you also need to get your other stuff out of the way. So WWE, yes, their OMG bad moments have to be the releases. And I think Bray Wyatt, for me, was the biggest one. That guy had every making to be something special. And every little time they showed it, but they never went all in on it. And I think that really made us say, why not? So, so that was my OMG moments. Goldberg and the releases. By the way, Greg, Goldberg has stated he has one more match left
So fingers crossed he
No.
has one match. I'm gonna say at least get the match out of the way. But anyways.
Yes, please.
And he said that on Pat McAfee's show, Greg, which Pat McAfee's show is all never controversial. So, yeah.
No.
Never. So anyways. All right, go ahead. Have at it.
We're agreement again. My number one OMG for WWE in a bad way were definitely the releases. Just names, a lot of names we did see coming, but the ones that we didn't were big, and you wonder what in the world are they thinking. You feel bad for the performers themselves, but yeah, from the ability to put on a great show, you could have used those guys and girls. And the names that they released were just mind-boggling at times, especially the Bray Wyatt, the Malachi Black, which turned out to be very fortunate for him because they screwed up his timeline. Same with Adam Cole. So the release is definitely number one, but I also threw in Evil Alexa, the finish to Reigns and Balor, which I've mentioned multiple times. It was a fantastic match up until the ending, and then the turnbuckle breaking, and they not have knowing how to cover for that because right. So that I'm still not happy about that one. And then I'm also throwing in NXT 2.0 as a whole because it was definitely an OMG moment, and it's bad. Right now it is bad. I love NXT. I love NXT Black and Gold to my core, and I'm hoping that NXT 2.0 can still be something, but right now it is not. Aside from Braun Breaker and a couple other guys down there, Ciampa, my dude LA Knight. There's not much to watch right now. I will give props to what they're doing with Grayson Waller, because of all
they're
the
going
people
all in on
that
him.
I figure would come out. They are, and he's not the guy I thought would be the one to get the Johnny Gargano rub when he did his big speech, his goodbye speech. So for it to be him, it's totally unexpected, but I can see it, especially the way they've changed up his character instead of doing the stupid boxer thing. Put some fancy clothes on him, let him, be a millennial talking about likes and swipes and, and then egging on the audience. He definitely has the charisma to be able to pull that off, and it's working right now. So, I didn't see it coming, but it seems to be working right now. So I can definitely get behind it. They keep rolling with that.
Him against AJ. Now I think New Year's Evil, it says he's confronting him. So I don't know if we'll get the match yet, but you wonder if we might get the match on TV just to kind of, get that going. And you wonder, Greg, if maybe Triple H, when he gets back, people tweet out the picture of Triple H looking at the Fresh Prince where the whole house is empty. So you wonder, if Triple H can give that life back into it. But yeah, there's definitely a little spark missing. It feels like throwing a lot of stuff at us, especially like we talked about that first couple episodes. It was like this guy, this girl, no promo, nothing, just like him or hate him.
Yeah.
We don't know anything about it, but we're just going to watch it. So, it's like watching, just like a TV show for the first time, and, they're not introducing the characters. So the good though, there's a lot of good. I think the love fest for Brody Lee was awesome to see. But AEW wise, WWE wise, Greg, does anything get bigger than CM Punk's return? The answer is no. Go ahead.
For AEW, definitely all of the new signings that they brought in, starting with CM Punk, Adam Cole, Bryan Danielson, Ruby, Malachi. but yeah, the return of Punk probably has to be number one. Um, the OMG moment because they alluded to it enough, Punk teased it enough, but it got to a point where I'll believe it when I see it.
Mm-hmm.
And they dedicated the first half of Rampage to it,
Yeah.
and we got what we wanted. Like Oliver says, got to give the people what they want, and that's what they did. So um, Punk came out, and it was awesome. I got goosebumps watching it. It was great. Um, so the new
And we could
signings were definitely the OMG moment.
and we could argue, is Punk? I am a little worried that he'll get tired of it. I feel like he's the guy that needs to always keep looking for that next challenge. So you do wonder if the novelty will wear off. But and heck, who would have thought, Greg, we'd ever see CM Punk in Sting makeup? So there you go. That was almost my OMG. It could have gone good or bad, but so I did have Hangman winning as well. I just love that moment. I mean, the fact that like we said, Full Gear was named after him. Like that was his baby, and then to come 2 years down the road. Because I was all in on Hangman beating Jericho at the very beginning, because I was like, well, if you're going to present yourselves as something different, why not go with a different name? But now Hangman gets a chance to really prove that.
Right.
I don't know what to expect with this whole, the match with the judges. I feel like there's going to be shenanigans in that, but it'll still be kind of interesting to see. So, WWE wise, Greg, I went.
Yeah.
So
I have to throw in my honorable mentions, though.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
I do have a couple honorable mentions, are the segments with Punk and MJF on the stick,
Yep.
and Punk and Eddie Kingston on the stick.
Yes.
Huge OMG moments.
Mm-hmm.
I also threw in Darby Allin getting thrown down the arena stairs in a body bag, where no protection, and he's getting they showed him zipping him into the body bag and then throwing him down, not rolling him down, but throwing him down, and he went down at least 2.5 flights of stairs, which made me scared for him. And then Nick Gage, definitely an OMG moment. The pizza cutter, and I also had in Christian beating Kenny to win the TNA title on, I believe it was on Dynamite. So that was an OMG moment.
Yep. So WWE wise, I went some honorable mentions, like your honorable mentions. I went Edge winning the Rumble. I think that was just an awesome moment, and it's still crazy to see Edge back. I mean, he's like the CM Punk type deal, and because Edge wasn't supposed to come back. I mean, that was he retired like legit. So, and then the Bianca win at Mania. I know I gave that the best match, so I had to give that the best moment, because her winning that, kind of wanted to celebrate it, and aftermath of all that was awesome. But, and this is probably what she doesn't like, is my girl Becky Lynch returning at SummerSlam. Yes, she beat her in 26 seconds. Part of me doesn't care because there's Becky back in the ring and looking better than ever, which is crazy. And then, going right into this heel type character. So my OMG good moment was Becky Lynch back on my screen, back on TV, because, she's just awesome. I love Becky too much. How about you, Greg? What do you got?
Well, I'll give my honorable mentions. I give you the return of Brock and Becky at SummerSlam.
Yep.
Big E winning Money in the Bank. Big moment, which led to him winning the championship. But my winner is WrestleMania and the hair whip. Just watching it and how loud it was. I mean, I can imagine being in the building for that and hearing that. That sounded like a gunshot through the TV. I can imagine what it sounded like in the arena, much less how it felt for Sasha to take it. And the moment that happened, I'm sure every eye got big and every jaw hit the floor. We've seen Bianca do the hair whip before, but holy crap, she put WrestleMania stank on it.
Mhm.
And I'm amazed that Sasha wasn't cut in half, Mortal Kombat style,
Yes, just
because
slicer.
she really,
Mhm.
that was a 400-foot home run swing.
Mhm.
And wow. So, yeah, that was definitely my biggest OMG moment in WWE in a good way.
Yes,
That
of
hair
course.
whip was amazing and felt great for Bianca winning. And I felt terrible for Sasha because I'm sure that thing hurt for
Yeah,
probably a couple weeks
she had to take the
afterwards.
summer off for it, Greg. So, all right, I think. All right, our best
Yeah, it's too
around. So
high.
here we are at the final award. We'll do predictions next for what do we see in this 2022. But you're the best around, Greg. Superstars of the year. Who are your WWE superstars of the year? Male and female.
All right. Well, I wanted to avoid the obvious, and I was looking for somebody to give it to, not named Roman Reigns.
Oh,
And
yeah.
my reason for it was because Roman is the cash cow. I'm sure all of the resources are being given to making sure that the Roman angle, the bloodline angle, is the best thing on TV, and they've done a great job with it.
Okay.
And I'm sure more time is being put into Roman than anybody else on the roster.
Mhm.
You know,
That's
when
true.
Vince calls those creative meetings, like, what are we doing for Roman? I'm sure that's the first thing
Mhm.
out of his mouth. And it shows
Mhm.
when you compare what they're doing with Roman, what they're doing with the rest of the roster. They're not getting half the imagination, half um, the finishes, the build that Roman's getting. So love Roman. I think he's definitely one of my top runner ups. But I wanted to give it to a guy who's earned it his own way and hasn't had that huge creative push, hasn't had much to work with, and he made the best of it. Because he's a veteran, because he's one of the best in the game. So I gave it to Edge. Uh,
Yeah,
Edge has been
I can give you that.
at, at the top of his game. Like I said, winning the Royal Rumble, um, the match he had with Orton to start the year, um, carried that over to match with Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns. Um,
Mhm.
then that classic series with Seth, and now he's doing the thing with the Miz, and he's making us want to watch a match with the Miz now. So
Yeah.
Edge has been killing it all year, and he's going to take it for me. Um, but Roman's a close second, and I also put Orton um,
Mhm.
as a close second also
Yeah.
because he's been very close. He has had Edge. He had the episode with the Fiend and Alexa Bliss,
Mhm.
and then he had rivalries with Drew and Lashley before doing this whole RK Bro business. So
Yeah.
everything he's done has been my. Um, I gave him the runner up because of the level of competition, especially with the Fiend and Bliss kind of brought things down for him, having to do the whole supernatural uh, bit a bit of more serious character instead of the Fiend. Um, I made it given it to him.
How about your
So that's
female?
my female is definitely Bianca for
Mhm.
uh, the epic match she had with Sasha and the way she's really represented the title in such a way that like you said, little girls are dressing like her, looking up to her
Mhm.
um, more so than anybody else who's held the title this year.
Yeah.
Um, so she's been a great ambassador for the title. She's definitely an up and comer. Her best days are in front of her,
Mhm.
and we look forward to seeing what she's going to do next. So Bianca takes it for me.
Yep. Well, I went cliche because Big Ben chimes in with Becky Lynch. So thank you, Big Ben, for stealing my thunder. Becky Lynch is my female superstar of the year because I love Becky. And I mean, this past half of the year, it's all been about her. So, I mean, this stuff with Liv Morgan is, it's really helping Liv. And, it makes me want Liv to win tonight, which that's doing her job. So, but I cannot disagree with you at all for Bianca. I mean, just always, the stuff with Dewdrop now, I mean, always stepping up her game.
Mhm.
So, and Sasha probably needs some consideration too, coming
absolutely
here and there and, leaving and coming right back. And I mean, Charlotte's always at the top. It's the women, it does suck because we always talk about the top women. It's the top. It's the undercard we really got to work up. So, and that's why that Toni Storm business is so interesting. I know we haven't talked about it, Greg, because that was after last night. I'm like, well, now that Toni Storm thing's kind of, second tier story, and we don't know the official word yet. Like even WWE hasn't said anything on her end, so I'm just curious what is going on there. But Becky Lynch is my choice, and I went cliche because my male superstar of the year is Roman. There's no doubt about it that he stepped up his game, and that's what's key to being the best.
He did.
I mean, I think a close second, like you said, is Edge. I think Drew. I love Drew McIntyre. I keep saying I want him to have that big WrestleMania moment. I mean, I feel like he won it in the pandemic era. Then he loses to Lashley. When he probably could have won at Tampa. I mean, with the story that he was telling, and maybe Dallas is his moment because I feel like we're leading towards Roman, Drew, and Brock. I mean, that just seems like the writing on the wall there. So those are my choices. Who else? Let's see. My male. Oh, he said. So Big Ben said his would be Kofi. Yeah, I mean, Kofi's a good choice too for stepping up when he needed to, and all of New Day. I mean, Big E. Big E probably needs a lot of shout out for what he did. I mean, Big E could almost have been my breakout star. When you consider where Big E's at. So I'm probably almost taking him for granted, like in a way. So AEW wise, Greg, my male is of course Hangman Adam Page, and I just think everything clicked for him this year. Everything was running. I mean, yes, he stepped away, but he stepped away for the right reason. Go be a dad for a few weeks or a few months or a couple months. I mean. And then, come right back and get the title. So, and then I went Britt Baker. I just, it was all about Britt. The stuff with Jamie Hayter still kind of bugs me that she needs that. But at the same time, it's understandable. And like you said, the lights out match, that just put her on a whole new level. It gave her a whole new figure. It gave her literally an action figure just based on that match. So, and t-shirts. So, I mean, what more could you ask for? So those are mine. Hangman Adam Page, Britt Baker were my top AW stars, Greg. How about yourself?
My AW male wrestler of the year goes to MJF. The guy has been the Pied Piper as far as orchestrating some of the best content all year. I've already mentioned, the Stadium Stampede, Blood and Guts, the Labors, forming the Pinnacle. He had a great rivalry with Darby Allin. He's doing this thing now with CM Punk, and the looks like eventual dissolution of the Pinnacle is still starting with what's going on with him and Wardlow. But he's engineering everything. He's, when he gets out there, he is the number one heel in the company. And people can't wait to boo him, and people can't wait to see him get punched in the face. But this guy keeps on winning. And he does it in great matches. He doesn't just, be the cowardly heel. The guy brings it when he does get in the ring. And I love the way he's kind of orchestrated everything and shown he's like a next level heel. So for the way he drives the action, and anybody who's in there with him is going to be promised a 5-star match. I'm going with MJF on the men's side, and then on the women's side, I'm going with Britt Baker too. Britt's killed it all year. Um, and she's. I agree with CM Punk in that she's probably one of the 4 pillars, and if not 4, definitely number 5. Because people are all in on Britt. Doesn't matter. She's a heel. She's just the most, I don't know if identifiable, but we love seeing her. We love her stick. We love the gimmick,
Yep.
and she brings it every time she gets in the ring. And being willing to shed blood for it, and go through the attacks, and be as violent as the men. You get huge points for that. So, I think Britt is won us over for all those reasons.
Exactly. So as we head into it, Greg, kind of looking ahead to 2022, prediction-wise, I just kind of wrote generalized stuff. I don't know how you did it, but so here's my predictions. I believe one of my first predictions is AEW star will jump to WWE. I feel like we're starting to get towards the end of contract for some AEW stars. I mean, Wardlow's the guy I keep thinking. I mean, can you imagine like Vince just kind of, looking at that guy and be like, hey, especially if they're looking at bigger, badder guys. Even though you just released Braun, you released Bray, who was a big guy, so maybe they're not looking that in. But I do wonder if an AEW star will make the jump to WWE. We keep seeing the other way around. And then 2 names I had, Greg, for like signees, and this is probably, a little random, but Tessa Blanchard, I think, will sign with AEW or WWE. Yes, she's doing the WoW stuff for a little bit. I don't know if that's a long-term contract or anything, but I feel like Tessa's going to kind of rebuild her brand, and either AEW or WWE is going to be like, we can't pass it up. Like, we're going to have to try to get her somehow. So I see Tessa Blanchard signing with one of those 2. And this name, Greg, it's going to be random, but Danhausen. I think he ends up on AEW. I really do. I mean, I actually think he'd be kind of interesting in WWE, just with the gimmick. I mean, he plays up the gimmick everywhere. He never he never loses it. So I wonder if somewhere he might end up now with ROH rebranding. He was there. Who knows if they bring him back? I mean, technically, every ROH guy is a free and girl is a free agent right now. So you do wonder if I think Danhausen though does get some prime time TV time at some point this year. Now I do have a couple. Then I did kind of break it up into AEW and WWE. AEW wise, I think, Greg, we are seeing the last full year of Chris Jericho. Well, if it's even full time, but I think we're kind of seeing the tail end. I do think by the end of the year he just hangs it up, maybe helps out backstage or stuff. I just don't think in 2023 Jericho will be featured at much at all. So I've kind of seen this as the last, hurrah for Chris Jericho. And then my last prediction is Montez Ford. I think he breaks out as a singles guy. Maybe summer-wise, Money in the Bank-wise. I think the writing is on the wall there, Greg, that they want to push that guy whenever they can. I mean, it's all about his, from the heaven leapfrog frog splash. It's all about his charisma. I mean, can you imagine him and Bianca kind of holding up singles titles at the end of the year? I think that would be a fun moment. So I think Montez Ford, this time next year, we could either be talking about breakout star or, most improved or something like that. But those are kind of my crystal ball. Like I said, I kind of went generalized. We did have Big Ben chime in real quick. He went with Cody Rhodes, liking him all year, and then Britt Baker. So he did agree with us. And I mean, Cody probably does deserve some credit for always being featured in some regard. as one of the best. It just people have. I think he just rubbed people the wrong way, unfortunately, in that has carried over to TV. So, Greg, in your crystal ball, what are you predicting for 2022?
All right, I got some goodies. Got a few pipe bombs loaded up for you.
All right.
I'll start slow.
Okay.
I've been talking about it for a while. My dude, L.A. Knight, will win the U.S. title, and he will get his Facts of Life talk show on the main roster.
Okay.
We finally see it with this whole Grayson Waller angle opening up. Busting out the catchphrase is not just a insult, it's just a fact of life. So I don't know if there was you have to wait till a certain time to be able to say that or whatever. But now it's happening, and the whole gimmick looks like it's going to be intact. He was taken out by Waller in the parking lot, which I think means it's going to set the stage for a big return. And NXT 2.0 is still going to need a veteran to rise up. And Gargano's gone, Kyle O'Reilly's gone. People are leaving. There are voids right now, and LA Knight's a guy who can fill in one of those voids. And he's going to be put in a top spot across from Grayson Waller because of how hard they're pushing him right now. So it's a great moment for him to bring the whole shtick when he comes back to TV and work it. And then I see him getting called up to the main roster after WrestleMania when they do the call-ups and the reshuffling of the deck. And then, he takes off and wins the championship, U.S. championship or IC championship, and really makes that the talk show work. Where these healer baby faces is always money. So I finally think they're going to roll with that. So that's number one. I have the women's championship in AEW. The woman who holds the title at the end of next year is going to be Saraya, aka Paige.
Okay.
So
you think Paige is going to make the jump to AEW?
Paige will be all elite, and she will go by Saraya.
That's not a bad prediction, actually. I mean, I feel like if she wants to do the Twitch thing, and kind of build her brand outside, I mean, that could be and that would be a big move for them. So, I like that.
It would be huge. And a face to go against Britt Baker.
Yeah. At first, I was like, who's Saray? And then I was like, wait, that's Saray from NXT.
No, Saraya.
Yeah.
So, I think she will be the champion by the end of the year next year.
Okay.
Then I got AEW will initiate a new Monday Night War.
Okay.
They're gathering their forces. They've built up all this talent, and I think they're loading for battle to go heads up against WWE. For 2 years they've stayed away from it, and they tested the waters going up against NXT, and they know they can beat WWE. They beat them. They beat their third brand, and now I think it's going to be time to go against the big dog, and that ties into my biggest prediction. Whether it happens before or after is an argument for both, but I believe WWE will be sold for between $3 to $5 billion.
Okay. To Disney?
Reason? God, I hope not.
I mean, but Disney's buying everything. So, real quick, I'm curious, Greg. Do you think the TBS move will hurt or help the product?
I think it'll help it.
Okay.
It really won't be much difference in TBS and TNT, you're still talking about basic cable. They can still do everything they did on TBS that they did on TNT. They have more freedom uh, than WWE does have being broadcast on Fox. And, because of that, that grittiness, that rawness of their program up against the overproduced and made for TV WWE product, people are going to see that this is a huge difference, and that's going to shift the tide in AEW's favor. And they have the star power now with the guys they brought in,
Yeah.
and plus a couple of the guys that are still out there that I think they're going to bring in, aka Wyndham Rotunda, that they can really, have all their guns blazing and be able to go head to head against Monday Night Raw or SmackDown and win every week. So I think if they sell Tony Khan can come in and go head to head afterwards while they're still reshuffling and in a state of flux and just take advantage of the sell,
Yeah.
or the fact that AEW is beating WWE is maybe what leads to Vince finally throwing his hands up and selling the company and giving it to somebody else. But why else would you be getting rid of all of these amazing talents, and not just bottom of the card newbies, but top of the card talents who you could have used to strengthen your own product, and you're releasing them. And if I'm selling my product, I want to keep the best features in place so that they're worth more when I do sell.
Yeah.
And he's doing the opposite by getting rid of the big names, and I don't know, he's trying to sell it as a bargain or something like that, but it doesn't make sense. But why would they release 100 talents in a calendar year when you're having your best fiscal year if you're not aiming to get out of the business? Is kind of how it looks to me. You've killed off NXT, you've got rid of a huge collection of talent that you could have used for your own purposes and made yourself money. It just all smells like a sell is right around the corner. And I think it's going to happen next year, and Tony Khan's going to be ready to pounce on it.
My only worry about the TBS thing is, like, I had to question where to find TNT. So, I even looking ahead to TBS, I was like, where in the hell do I watch TBS? Because I don't have cable. So, I had to find, I find streaming apps. Like, you have the TNT app. And I was like, oh, there's actually a TBS app. I had no idea. So that's what I only worry about. Now, I do think them in USA is probably on a reasonable level. So you wonder if they do go like Monday night frame. And I'm a little worried that TNT thought NHL, because that's what we'll move into Wednesday night. I guess that's going to be a bigger deal for them than AEW. Does that worry you any, Greg, or is that just because sports is sports and probably real sports is bigger money than wrestling?
Yeah, I'm sure the money the NHL is going to give
That's fine. Yeah, is
to,
bigger
to them is bigger than the AEW money. That's all that is. And, hockey probably is still bigger than wrestling right now, but yeah, they'll do great because they have that ability to pivot. I like them going up against SmackDown really because with all the things they can do on cable, like they're doing now with these bloody matches with these violence and the salty language and everything like that. On SmackDown, they really can't do the same thing with it being on a local channel like Fox and such a big name like Fox. They can't really duplicate what they're doing as opposed to if they went and competed against Raw head to head, because it's on USA. They probably have some little more leniency, some more ability to match AEW's effort as far as the blood and guts aspect and things. So I think they'd be better to go head to head against SmackDown and take out SmackDown than Raw, but it would be a bigger statement to go against Raw, the flagship, and beat them.
Yeah. All right. I think we're gonna I think
one more.
Oh, sorry, you have one more. My bad. You said it was gonna be sold. Okay.
I forgot.
What was your last?
Or did you have one more thing?
Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, I gave you my AEW Women's Champ
Okay.
Paige, aka Soraya. The champ at the end of this year or at the end of next year will either be MJF or heel Punk.
A heel Punk, yeah.
And the reason I'd say that is because they're alternating heel face as far as their champions. It started with heel Jericho, then it went to Moxley, the face, then it went to heel Kenny. Now it's at Hangman, and now it's time for a heel at the end of the year next year. And I think MJF or a retooled, reimagined CM Punk who goes heel and maybe takes out the baby face at the end of the year. So, but I got one of those two as the AEW champion at the end of the year, but the champ will be a heel.
Here's a question, Greg. Does CM Punk, Bryan Danielson wrestle together or against each other this next calendar year?
They will wrestle against each other.
Okay.
In the first 6 months, I see that happening in the first 6 months of the year. Because Danielson's more heel, Punk's still, white meat baby face, and it's going to take a while for his turn to be complete. So, more likely they end up facing each other than teaming up together.
Just because for me, I want to say with each other because I want to see them go against the Young Bucks and kind of see how that dynamic would work, and kind of see if they can hold their own. I mean, we do have to admit CM Punk is probably a lot more slow moving. I mean, I don't know to you. It does seem like every match he's kind of losing steam. I don't know if that's just the matches that he's had or, does he need to get that cardio back or what? Like Bryan looks ridiculously good. Like Bryan Danielson almost looks like he gets better in every match.
Yeah.
But I do worry about CM Punk, and I feel like it's just slowly you're away for 7 years and, your head's out of it as well. I mean, mentally, you've got to get back in it as well. So, it'd be interesting to see. But those are just random questions I had. I just want to end it right now, Greg, just because I have some stuff to finish here at home. If you want to send me your predictions, maybe I'll go live later on this afternoon from Facebook and kind of give our day one predictions if you want to.
Sure.
I think we'll just do that. I talked to you beforehand that unfortunately my bathroom is having issues, so I kind of want to get that sorted out and make sure I can use it. But anyway, so I think 2022 is going to be another interesting year. I feel like we're going to see some OMG good, some OMG bad, especially if last night was any indication, Greg, of how the wrestling world could go, because I did not expect any of that last night. And I mean, we didn't even get into it. The Toni Storm stuff, I still don't know what to make of it. I mean, there's the thing that she went home on her own, so she just quit. And then you wonder, does that turn people's opinion? Some people are like, oh, it's awesome she quit. Then other people are like, well, you quit. How can you change things? So it's going to be interesting what she does and where she ends up. And like we said, we haven't seen anything. I keep looking for WWE to say, we've released Toni Storm. Even if they don't say best of luck, just giving us some official words. So
Right.
Her situation is interesting, so that might be a topic to throw out next week if we get any clarity on it or during the week. So, but yeah, I hope everybody had a great New Year's. Here's up to big things happening this year. And Greg, it's been awesome to have you on this show for the past year. I think it's been the past year. I forget. When did you come into?
Yep.
I can't.
Better part of the year for sure. I think
Okay.
April, May, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, it's most of the year.
So we'll have another good
But
year, and we got good things happening. I can't wait. So good luck at work today. I'm sure it'll be a nice. Are
absolutely.
you working at the airport, right? You're still working at the airport?
Yeah, and absolutely, Charlotte Airport.
So it's gonna
CLT,
be.
come on through and see your boy.
It's gonna be hella busy, I'm sure, because people are probably either getting back or, maybe making a last minute trip somewhere. So I'm sure you'll have a fun day of work.
Yeah,
So.
it
All
will
right,
be. One
Big
thing I
Ben.
do want to
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
resolve to
Yes.
is that this year I want to come out so we can do a show together.
Of course.
We'll have to
In
do
person.
probably a midweek show
Yeah.
because I'm not senior enough to get weekend days off.
Of course.
But we do like a midweek show.
Mhm.
But I want us to be able to do a show together and actually shake hands in person because you've been an awesome addition to my life. I appreciate you.
Mhm.
And I shout out to BW Sport and Dan the Man who's out there. Get well soon.
Yeah.
Shout out to Brittany who's been a big contributor to
I'm gonna
us.
try to get her on
Shout
for
out to
Royal
Big Ben.
Rumble. I'm gonna
Absolutely.
try to get
That'd be
Brittany on
great.
for Royal Rumble because I think that's a fun kind of everything is out there. It doesn't take a lot to predict. Everything is open. So especially this year. I think this year's Royal Rumble. I mean, I feel like every year it's got more wide open. Like Edge, I guess, was pretty much the consensus.
Yeah.
But this year, I mean, I'm probably leaning towards Drew again, just because I think he needs it. But there could be a dark horse, guys. So yes, Big Ben. I will hope Big
Right.
Ben comes back out and joins us every week. If he ever wants to come on, we'll figure that out. I'm sure we could bring him on as a guest. He had some good stuff. Oh, there it is. He's BeeLit Organics. There we go. That's Brittany's her homemade, naturally stuff, natural grown, I guess. I better check it out. Oh, that's his BFF. Okay. There you go. So maybe we could get Big Ben on and Brittany for our Royal Rumble prediction. We'll have a full cast. So have a good rest of your day, though. Enjoy the new year. Thank you for having us. Enjoy the Stevie Awards and talk to you guys later.
Happy New Year, everybody.